For any parrot owner out there, there's a sound that can jolt you out of a dead sleep with a shot of pure adrenaline. It's that sound of chaos in the dark, and it is absolutely terrifying. We're talking about night frights. So in this explainer, we're going to break down what they are, what sets them off, and most importantly, how we can bring some peace back to the night for both you and your bird. Oh, it's a sound you just never want to hear, right? That violent, frantic flapping, the clatter of your bird crashing against the cage bars and toys. It's the sound of pure, raw panic, and it leaves both of you completely shaken.
So, what in the world is actually happening here? Well, a night fray is basically a sudden panic attack that happens while your bird is asleep. They wake up terrified and their instinct just screams, flee. But, in a cage, that instinct just leads to thrashing and, unfortunately, potential injury. And while you hear it called cockatiel thrashing syndrome a lot, let me be clear, this can happen to any parrot species.
To solve this mystery, we have to play detective. The key is understanding that this isn't just random chaos. Something is triggering this intense fear. So let's put on our investigator hats and look at the evidence. Now, this is the most important thing to remember. This isn't some flaw in your bird. It's pure instinct. In the wild, parrots are prey animals. Nighttime is prime time for predators like owls or snakes, so even in the safety of your home, that deeply wired survival instinct is still switched on. Their brain screams danger, and their body reacts before they're even fully awake.
And what's really fascinating about this list is how many totally normal household things can be terrifying to a sleeping parrot. Think about it. Car headlights sweeping across a wall, a door slamming downstairs, even a tiny moth fluttering near the cage could be seen as a predator. Anything that unexpectedly breaks the silence or the darkness is a potential trigger. And hey, it's not just about what's happening outside the bird. Internal factors play a huge role here too. Things like stress from a recent move, a really inconsistent bedtime, or even a nutritional issue can leave a parrot feeling on edge, which makes them much more likely to panic. And yes, scientists think birds do dream, so a good old-fashioned nightmare could very well be the culprit. All right, so now that we have a better handle on the why, we can finally get to the how. How do we prevent these episodes from happening in the first place? This is all about being proactive and creating an environment that just screams safety, not danger. The foundation of feeling secure starts with the cage itself. Remember, in the wild, parrots sleep way up high in the trees to feel safe from anything lurking on the ground. We can actually mimic that feeling of safety. Just place the cage in a quiet corner against a solid wall. Boom, that immediately gets rid of two sides of potential threats. And make sure they have perches up high so they can satisfy that powerful instinct to roost up and away from danger. This brings us to one of the most common questions. Maybe the biggest debate in all of parrot care. Do you cover the cage at night? And the honest answer is, well, it totally depends on your bird. There is no one-size-fits-all solution here. And this really lays out the dilemma perfectly. For some birds, a cover is fantastic. It blocks out those spooky shadows and signals, hey, it's time to sleep, creating a cozy little den. But for others, it can feel like a trap, which makes them panic even more if they get started. So if you do use one, just make sure it's breathable and please introduce it gradually. So if total darkness can be a trigger, what about adding just a little bit of light back into the equation? This is another key tool in our prevention toolkit, but you've got to do it right. The details here are absolutely critical. We're not trying to light up the whole room. What we want is a very faint, warm glow. That blue light can actually mimic daylight and mess with their sleep. It should be just enough light to help your bird get its bearings if it gets startled, but not so bright that it keeps him awake. And always, always use indirect light. Think a dim light in the corner of the room, not one pointed right at the cage. Okay, now let's talk about what's inside the cage. It's so common to see owners provide those soft fabric huts. And look, it comes from a good place. We want our birds to be cozy and comfortable. But unfortunately, this is a major misconception that can be incredibly dangerous. So the bottom line is, you have to avoid those fuzzy cotton happy huts. Parrots chew, it's what they do, and swallowing those fibers can cause fatal blockages. Not to mention, the threads can get tangled around their toes or even their wings. If your bird really seems to want an enclosed space, a breathable seagrass hut is a much safer bet. But for most birds, honestly, a comfy natural perch is all they really need. All right, let's take a breath. Because even with the best prevention in the world, a night fright can still happen.
Your response in that moment is everything. If you panic, you'll only make things worse. You need a calm, clear plan. The moment you hear that crash, your first move is to turn on a very dim light. Then use your most powerful tool, your calm voice. Speak softly, reassuringly. Just let your bird know you're there and that they're safe. Rushing over to the cage or trying to grab them will only confirm their fear that a predator is attacking. Once the flapping has stopped and your bird has started to settle down, you need to assess the damage. This has to be done calmly, but I promise you it is not optional. The potential for injury during these episodes is very, very real. And the most common, and by far the most dangerous injury we need to be looking for is this: a broken blood feather. This is a true avian emergency. So what makes this so serious? A blood feather is a living, growing feather. It has an artery and a vein running right through the shaft. If that shaft breaks, it's like an open faucet. A bird can't clot it on its own, and especially for a small bird like a cockatiel or a budgie, the blood loss can be fatal. So what do? You carefully look over your bird, check their wings and tail for any wet or matted spots that could be blood, watch their breathing, and if you see active bleeding from a broken feather, applying cornstarch or styptic powder can help slow it down, but you must contact your avian vet right away. Don't try to pull it yourself unless a vet has specifically trained you how to do so safely. Okay, we have navigated the panic, and now we come full circle. The goal here is to make these emergencies a thing of the past. It's all about taking everything we've learned and building a strategy for consistently peaceful nights. This right here, this is your action plan. Become a student of your own bird. Secure their environment. Practice your emergency response in your head so you can stay calm when it counts. Use tools like a dim nightlight or even a white noise machine to mask sudden sounds. And know when an injury is serious enough that it's time to call the vet. And in the end, after all the investigation and the prevention strategies, it really comes down to this. Your bird relies on you to be their rock, their source of safety. Your calm presence after a scare, the soft words, the gentle reassurance, that is what teaches them that the danger has passed and that they are safe with you. So I'll leave you with this question. After everything we've gone over, from cage placement to night lights to your own emergency plan, what is the single most impactful change you can make, starting tonight, to help your feathered friend have a safe and peaceful sleep?